I threw our daughter a princess party at the park. A woman walked up, held out a hospital bracelet, and said, "That's my child." DNA agreed. Then my husband admitted he'd known something was off for 2 years. I'm 31F, he's 33M. We live in Milwaukee in a little bungalow near Bayview where the radiator sings and the neighbor's lilac bush tries to bully our fence. We have a 4-year-old, Harper. She's a glitter bomb in sneakers, the kind of kid who carries rocks in her pockets like they're coins. We did the whole pink and purple thing at Humboldt Park, crowns, bubbles, juice boxes that leak no matter how careful you are. The woman in the sundress with a hospital bracelet in a Ziploc showed up between Happy Birthday and my father-in-law trying to fix a balloon arch with electrical tape. She had one of those faces that says, "I've practiced this walk across the grass in my head and every version sucked." "Are you Lauren?" she asked. "I am. I'm Maddie," she said, voice even. "I think your daughter is mine." I laughed because that's not a sentence you hear sober. "What?" She held out the bracelet. Aurora Sinai. Date. The time. A last name. Mine. Except not. Her baby's bracelet had my last name on it. Our Harper's newborn bracelet, saved in a shadow box by my type of heart, had her last name on it. A nurse from 2019 had sloppy handwriting and a long shift, and the universe found the one place to step wrong. "I tried the hospital," she said quickly. "You digitally said quickly. I think something happened. We had a boy. Or we thought. I don't want to blow up your day. I just..." Her hands shook. "I emailed you. I sent a message on Facebook. I didn't want to surprise you like this. You never saw it. This is the only place I knew I'd find you." I stared at the bracelet like it might explain itself. I looked at Harper. She was chasing bubbles and yelling, "Vet them," because 4-year-olds are scientists and poets. My husband, Nate, was already pale. He took the bracelet like it might catch fire. "Let's step over here," he said, Midwesting the situation as far away from cake as possible. We stood by the picnic table with the kind of plastic tablecloth that makes your forearms sweaty. My mother watched us over the potato salad like she had a sixth sense about plot twists. "We delivered at Sinai too," Maddie said, eyes on me. September 6th, 2019. Induction. Epidural that didn't take. A baby that the nurse said was a boy, and we said okay. He never looked like either of us. We chalked it up to the lottery. A month ago, our pediatrician did a routine blood type. It didn't match either of us. Again, we said, okay, weird things happen. Then my mother-in-law dug out the bracelet she'd put in a Bible page and said, "Wait, why is this the wrong last name?" You can be any blood type," Nate said, weakly, like someone grabbing a fact off a drowning shelf. "You can't," she said, not unkind. "Not if both parents are O and the child is AB." I hated that even then the part of me that likes to be right understood the math. "I'm not here to take anyone," she said quickly, seeing my face do the thing. "I have a 4-year-old who calls me mama and asks for raisins and thinks the moon is following our car. I'm not here to play musical chairs with children. I'm here because something happened. The hospital is paperwork. The kids are people. We should know." We set a time for Monday. She wrote her number on a napkin because the universe is a screenwriter sometimes. She left with a small wave. I cut cake and answered, "It's fine. 20 times to people who can smell smoke under frosting." Small Wisconsin sentence. After the party, I went to Cops, got a custard I couldn't taste, and watched a guy in a brewer's hat try to catch a napkin in the wind like it mattered. Monday, swabs at a DNA place in a strip mall by a tax prep office with a fake fern, and a woman named Donna with the kind of compassion that only comes from having done this too many times. Harper sat on my lap and said, "Owie," for dramatic effect when the tech swabbed her cheek. She got a sticker. I didn't. Maddie's kid Sam came with her. He had a cowlick and an astronaut shirt and my father's eyes. That last part is a joke, except it wasn't. He looked like my Uncle Robert at 3. Genetics is rude. Results took 6 days. In those 6 days, I learned how long an hour is when you don't want to move forward and you can't go back. Nate made waffles at 10 p.m. like breakfast could fix time. He kept telling Harper dad jokes because if she was laughing, he didn't have to think. On day 3, he handed me a index card with blood types written on it. We could have O and B and Nate, I said. Stop. On day 6, Donna called with the voice she uses to tell people their lives are now a before and an after. The probability that Harper is not genetically related to either of you is statistically conclusive, she said. The probability that she is related to Maddie and her husband and that Sam is related to you is also conclusive. I sat in our hallway on the runner I thought was cute in 2020 and breathed like I was underwater. Nate went outside and mowed the same strip of grass twice because men see a blade and think if they cut it, they control something. We met at a playground with a fence. The kids found each other like they were magnets and didn't know it. They played. They ignored us because that's their job. Maddie and I cried like slow faucets and tried to talk like adults. Her husband, Eli, is a science teacher who looks like he could fix your car and your heart. He held Sam like he'd hold him in a hurricane. He looked at me like I was a person and not the bad news. We don't want to swap, Maddie said, before anyone was brave enough to say the word aloud. We want to not do that. We want to, I don't know. We want to be on the same team. The kids are ours. We'll figure out the other thing. We all nodded like wisdom was a muscle we hadn't used since high school. We'll call the hospital, Nate said. We'll call a lawyer. We called the hospital. Aurora Sinai escalated us to someone with a title that had too many syllables. There were apologies with careful words. There were process reviews and root cause analyses and rare events. There was no one can be fired for something this far back, and we can talk about a settlement. There was a woman named June who had the kindest voice and also had to keep saying, "We can't undo this." We hired a lawyer who sat with her pen poised like a bird and listened to the whole stupid, beautiful thing. There isn't a playbook for this, she said. There are 2. One is legal, liability, damages, lifetime therapy money, college funds, etc. The other is ethical, how you want to raise your children when you learned something you can't unlearn. You can let the hospital handle the first. The second is yours. I wanted new parents. I wanted to be the first person to ever not be a cliché in a mess. I wanted a story without the part where the husband says, "I knew something a while ago, but I thought I could protect us by not knowing it out loud." Nate told me on our back steps with the grill cover flapping stupidly. When Harp was 2, he said, her pediatrician did a blood type panel. It didn't make sense with ours. I Googled. I panicked. I bought a kit on Amazon. I closed my eyes. I saw the kit. Black and red box. I seethed at the box. I didn't want to blow up our life, he said, eyes wet. I told myself it was a mistake. I told myself love outweighs any chart. I told myself you had postpartum and then COVID and then no childcare and then grief when your dad died, and what kind of man burns his house down while his wife is holding it together? I told myself a lot of generous things about myself. He waited for me to throw the grill cover at his head. I didn't. I turned on the hose and watered the herb garden because basil dies if you let it, and I needed to be in charge of something that responds to attention. "I'm sorry," he said. "You deserved the truth when I had it." "Harper deserved it," I said, voice gone quiet mad. "Sam deserved it." He nodded like a child. "I'll do whatever you want. Divorce. Separate. Stay. I'll sleep in the attic. I'll apologize to her until she's 40. I'll walk into that hospital every day and stand there with a sign that says I messed up. I told him to move into the guest room. Then I fed Harper mac and cheese off a dinosaur plate like people do when the mountaintop falls on a Tuesday. Small local sentence. We went to Lakeshore State Park and watched the Hone Bridge lights change, and I felt like a person on a tiny planet under a big sky with a mess I could see all the way around. Update 1. 2 weeks later, we told our families. My mom cried the way mothers cry when they don't know which grown child to comfort first. Her solution was soup. Nate's parents went silent. His mom baked like she was entering a pie marathon. His dad said, "This is why I hate hospitals and feelings," which is honestly on brand. The hospital sent us a letter with an official heading, the kind law firms use when they want you to feel your spine. They offered to cover therapy indefinitely for both households, set up education trusts for both kids, and a financial settlement that made my eyebrows hit my hairline. It felt like money for pain, which is what it was. We hired a second lawyer to negotiate the number because if the universe is going to punch you in the lungs, you may as well make sure your kids get braces and summer camps and a cash cushion for when they need to take a break from the world at 25. Maddie and Eli came over with frozen lasagna and the polite Midwestern energy of people who want to sit on the floor and cry and also not be weird. We made a schedule. Tuesdays and Thursdays, park overlap, dinner every other Sunday, monthly family day where we all do something that makes one kid cry and the other one eat too many goldfish. We agreed on words. To the kids, when you were born, the nurses accidentally gave mommy and daddy the wrong baby. We found out now. You have another family that loves you. We're all going to be together a lot. Keep it simple. No lawsuit talk. No biological dagger. Biology is a fact. Parenting is a verb. Small Milwaukee sentence got stuck behind a slow trolley on Brady and watched a guy carry 6 pizzas like a hero. Harper waved at the trolley and the driver dinged like he knew people need little lights. Update 2, 1 month later, we told Harper. 4-year-old logic is a trampoline. It bounces and holds. We sat on the couch with her in a tulle skirt because she is that person right now. You have more people, I said, showing a picture of Maddie and Eli. They're like family. We're going to play with them a lot. Do they have snacks? She asked, practical. They do, I said. Do they have a cat? She asked. They have a dog, I said. She nodded, accepting that information with grace. Later she asked, did I always have them? And I said yes, and she said, okay, and went back to building a castle out of couch cushions and regret. Sam took it his way. He asked Eli if he was his dad. Eli said yes. He asked me if I was his mom. I said, I am a grown-up who loves you. Your mom is Maddie. He thought. He ate a grape. He said, okay, in that elastic tone kids use when they're still deciding. We gave him room. Nate moved back into our room, not because I forgave him entirely, because 3 a.m. is easier if there's someone else to make the bottle while you find the pacifier like you're on a dark scavenger hunt. Therapy is doing the work. He says I had a secret and I told myself keeping it was kindness. It was fear. I say I am less special in your head than I want to be. He nods and takes the recycling out because processing and chores can be simultaneous. Update 3, 3 months later, the hospital settlement finalized. Numbers on paper never feel like anything until you pay a bill with them. They set up 2 529s in the kids' names and cut checks for pain and suffering and future counseling that we put in a trust with a woman named Carol who wears sensible blazers and takes no nonsense. We signed NDAs that my lawyer narrowed to not cover our ability to tell the truth to our children. I can live with that. We sued no individuals. I didn't want a nurse's head on a pike. Systems fail. People fail too, but I needed to sleep. We found out there was a shift change during our births. There was a code in another room. There was one nurse in the nursery who had been on for 16 hours because of a snowstorm. Everything lined up, and then didn't. It was human. It was inexcusable. It was both. We went to therapy with a woman named Paige, who looks like she knows why you buy three versions of the same candle and call it coping. She says words like ambiguous loss and both and. She gives the kids dolls to do family. They put us all in the dollhouse and close the door and then open it and put a tiny dog inside and say, "He lives here now." I cried at a dollhouse like a lunatic. Small Wisconsin sends took the kids to South Shore Park to watch kite surfers and snack on pretzels from Milwaukee Pretzel Co. A guy on a bike yelled, "Go Pack!" at nobody, and it felt like summer. Update 4, 5 months later, an ugly thing happened and then got unugly. Eli's mom called me and said, "Blunt, what if we switch?" Like kids in a divorced family on weekends, but forever. The right kids with the right parents, she said. I put the phone down and breathed into a towel. I called Maddie. She cried because she didn't want that either, but her mom is old school and thinks blood knows something the rest of us don't. We set a boundary, the four of us decide. Everyone else cooks and shuts up. We wrote a letter together, signed it like a treaty, and mailed it to both sets of extended family. Harper and Sam are ours. We love them. Eli's mom took a week and then showed up with a puzzle and apologized like a woman who learned something after 60. I respect her more now. Update 5, 7 months later, we did our first vacation as a six-pack. Door County, cheap cabin, walks, cherry pie, kids up at dawn, adults up at 6, because bodies are mean. It was equal parts lovely and disaster. Sam got carsick. Harper bit into a plum like it was a competitor. Nate and Eli figured out how to grill without jockeying like stags. Maddie and I cried laughing on a porch at 10 p.m. because a raccoon looked at us like we were in his space. We called the kids bonus siblings in front of them, and they made up a handshake I don't know because it's theirs. I thought about 2019 versions of us in hospital gowns being handed the wrong humans, and my heart did that weird thing where it breaks and heals in the same beat. Update 6, 10 months later, school. I didn't think about that part until it was on a form. Mother. Father. 2 lines. Not enough lines. We talked to the principal of the little kindergarten at the end of our street. She said, "Write all the names. We'll add lines." I wanted to kiss her forehead. We made a Google Doc that reads like a NATO agreement. Who picks up when? Who packs snacks? Who reads which books so the kids hear the same story in different voices? We put pictures of us all up in both houses. We made a rule about not bad-mouthing anyone, even when you're tired. We break it sometimes. We apologize. I ran into Donna, yes, Donna from the DNA place, at the farmer's market. She squeezed my shoulder and asked about the kids. She said quietly, "Most people don't figure it out this way. You're doing nice work." I cried by the microgreens. Again. I am often crying near produce now. Small USA local sentence drove out to Holy Hill on a weirdly warm Sunday, watched leaves turn, like someone was turning a dimmer, ate gas station cheese curds because we're feral. Update 7, 1 year later we threw another birthday. 2 cakes, 1 big picnic. More people, less panic. My mother made 2 lasagnas because feelings. Eli's mom brought deviled eggs and apologized again. Nate made a speech he wrote, and I edited. We didn't choose this beginning. We're choosing the middle. It was good. He cried on the word middle, and the dads clapped like he'd built a deck. He and I are okay. Not fairy tale. Not ruins. We touch in the kitchen while dishwater runs. We sleep. We remind each other to drink water. I forgive him in increments. Sometimes I take it back for a day. We talk about another kid, and then we look at each other like we know our hearts are full and our calendars are war zones, and we don't have to make that decision today. Harper and Sam call each other brother sister like they invented a hyphen. They fight over a stuffed sloth and then tuck it in together under a dish towel. They both think ketchup is spicy. They both think they're faster than the wind. They both know four parents show up to things and nobody is keeping score. Update 8. 18 months later, people ask me if I think about the what ifs. Of course. Do I wonder about toddler Harper in a different dining room learning a different bedtime song? Yes. Do I wonder about Sam's first laugh in our car? Yes. Do I drown in it? Not anymore. We got a Christmas card from the hospital. I didn't want to open it. I did. It was from June, the woman with the kind voice whose job is to stand by a fire with a bucket. Thinking of your families, it said. I hope the year brought healing. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. I cried. Again. She didn't have to send it. We sent one back with the kids in matching pajamas because I am now the kind of person who does that. We still mess up. I snapped at Eli once because he gave Harper a haircut I wasn't ready for. He apologized like an adult. I brought Sam a toy I should have asked about first, and Maddie gave me that look that says, we're not doing surprises, and I swallowed my pride and said sorry. We all oversugar the kids sometimes to compensate for everything. We're working on it. Small Milwaukee sentence. Sat on a bench by the lake eating a warm cruller from Cranky Al's, watched a couple take wedding photos in the wind at South Shore, and for a full song's worth of time, I did not think about bracelets or blood types, just clouds and sugar and the way our city tries. Final update 2 years after. This is the part where Reddit always wants to know if we cut ties or renewed vows. The answer? We didn't cut. We tied more. It's messy and sometimes itchy and very strong. We did renew vows, but not in a movie way. We stood in our backyard, me, Nate, Maddie, and Eli, under the string lights I bought on sale, and said, we promise to tell the truth fast, to show up, and to help each other's kids find their shoes. The kids ran in circles and ignored us, as they should. If you are staring at a bracelet in a baggie and your chest feels like it's being unzipped, I'm so sorry. Here's what helped me. Get a lawyer and a therapist before you get a Facebook post. Name it simply for the kids. They don't need a TED Talk. They need consistent Thursdays. Money isn't evil here. Make it do something kind. Do not let extended family set the terms. If they love you, they will learn your new map. Have a Google Doc? People roll their eyes until they see the calendar and the lunchbox allergy list, and then they shut up. You will cry in produce. It's okay. Buy the cherries. Cry anyway. You can be mad at your husband for not telling you and still hold his hand at 3 a.m. because your kid threw up. It's not hypocrisy. It's a Tuesday. Don't be a hero. Be a neighbor. It's less exhausting, and the kids need stability more than they need your martyrdom. Let the kids lead on language. They will surprise you with what they can hold. Small USA local sentence. Took the kids to the domes in the dead of winter, breathed that wet plant air, watched them run their hands over a cactus they weren't supposed to touch, and laughed until I looked like the person I was before the park and the bracelet. Just Sim. Tia Mom who forgot snacks and remembered to bring water.